So you've just been appointed head golf professional of the club. Now what do? Welcome everyone to our continuing education program for members throughout North America and abroad. I'm Jim Carlisle, and over the years have worked with many of your members helping to advance their careers. I'm pleased today to moderate a panel of 3 of your members who've climbed the ladder to become very successful head pros, and in the case of one of them, a successful chief operating officer as well. So without further ado, let me introduce our panel today. So we have Todd McGrath, head professional at the Thornhill Club, Tyler Fitzgerald, head professional at Scarborough Golf and Country Club, and Brad Denick, who is general manager at Westmount Golf and Country Club. I got that one right?
Yeah, that's
yep.
good.
Okay, great. So welcome, gentlemen, and not to put you under too much stress, but I think it would be interesting for your members to hear a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are. So let's start with you, Todd.
Okay, right from the beginning?
Wherever you want to go.
I guess, in a sense, to where I am now, as the head professional at Thornhill Club, was always a goal of mine to try to become a club pro or a head pro at a prestigious private club. Not necessarily in the GTA, but definitely was on the radar. I got into golf at the age of 12 after moving near a golf course as a young kid, starting to play a little bit there, pick balls in the range, work in the golf shop when I could during the summer or after school in the fall months, and really started with a mentoringship of the head professional of Tom McPhee, who I worked for about 8 years, right up until I started kind of school. It was a small semi-private club in Smiths Falls, which some people may know is a little more famous the last couple of years when I was there. But just loved being in the atmosphere of the club and around people and around golf, and was very fortunate to work for Tom for that many years. After I had spent my time there, decided to obviously advance my education. Went to Carleton University a couple of years to get my business degree based on what the PGA was requiring at that time.
Go Ravens.
For the apprenticeship. My second year at Carleton, the PGM program started in Toronto Humber College, and that just instantly made me want to change over and come to the GTA area to come to Humber and get my education through the PGM program. And after 3 years of the PGM program, returning from internship back to Smiths Falls for summer, I decided to try to branch out a little bit and stay in the GTA area after I graduated to find a little more substantial job potentially. And I guess to stretch my arms out a little bit. Had a couple of interviews and decided to work at Greystone Golf Club. So I stayed in Toronto and spent 2 years at Greystone. Had an opportunity in the off-season to work with Marianne Baker in their merchandising department, which was a great opportunity to learn some of the stuff from a buying and retail perspective. And from there, again, wanted to make a change and potentially build my resume a little bit and started looking at other facilities in the GTA area. Had an opportunity to meet with Rob McDaniel at Hamilton Golf and Country Club and took on a role there in the summer of 2000, I guess. Started out as an assistant golf pro and also managing their caddy program, which was, again, another opportunity to see coming, but a great thing to be a part of, to see kids in the game, caddying. You know, we have 175 kids registered to caddy at the club every spring, so we put them through training, etc. Just a different aspect of the game and the business. Stayed there for 4 years after becoming the associate for a couple of years. Went through a Canadian Open with Rob, which was a phenomenal experience just to be a part of such a big event. Probably the least amount of sleep I've had in a week in the golf industry, but the most excitement I've ever had just to be a part of something with such a buzz. And then from there, again, started to branch out and look for my own head pro job. And that was always my end goal, was to become a head golf professional. Had an opportunity and was selected to be the director of golf and tennis actually at the Cutton Club, which is now known as Cutton Fields in the golf area. Stayed there for 6 years and again, loved golf, great membership, great club, small private club, lots of opportunities. Learned a lot based on taking on my own golf shop and running my own business, which again was something I had always admired because that was what Tom had done at Smiths Falls and Rob had done at Hamilton. So to be a business owner as well as just a club professional and servicing the membership and being that provider, was really excited about having the opportunity to kind of run my own business. So from there, I continued to try to learn and grow and do what I could for members to service their needs. happened to go through an incident my first season with the golf shop being set fire to and burned down, obviously. So long process of going through insurance and rebuying merchandise and restocking the shop and trying to service the membership from a standpoint of replacing their golf clubs, because clubs were lost in the fire as well too. So a lot happened in my first year as a head golf pro. And then, after 6 years at Guelph, again, thought I maybe was looking for a new change, a new opportunity, more challenges, I guess. So the opportunity at Thornhill Golf and Country Club at that time was very appealing because it had 18 holes, a small 9 executive, larger membership, curling in the winter, so a little more active club and year-round. And in the spring of 2011, had that final opportunity, and I've been there ever since then, and just and loving it, and again, trying to do everything I can to try to build the club itself, grow the membership, grow the services, grow the events, and just make it a great place for members to want to be.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, later on, we're going to come back to some of those experiences and highlight them in other areas.
It's a good way to manage your inventory is the fire, I guess, right?
That wasn't planned.
Tyler, over to you.
Thanks, Jim. I started my career, I was quite young when I got into golf. I was 5 years old when I started playing the game. And it was a great story. It was my grandfather actually took me out to his home club, and it was late evenings just teaching me the game. So introduced at a quite young age. And the story has it, my aunt actually ended up marrying a golf pro. So at a young age, I was introduced to not only the game, but to the business of the industry as well. Started working for my uncle when I was 15 years old in the back shop. And that was my first experience actually seeing the other side of the counter, if you want to put it. And certainly my uncle was a huge influence and a huge mentor for me for my first few years, because he kind of took me under his wing and showed me the ins and outs of what it meant to work at a golf club. And even though I was just watching clubs for a few years, it really resonated with me quite a bit, because the lifestyle, seeing people on a day-to-day basis and really, seeing how much they enjoyed the atmosphere and how much they enjoyed the game. For me at a young age, I said to myself, this is the life. So from that, I decided to pursue my education in the PGM program, same as Todd. Went to Humber College for 3 years. And part of that learning process, one of the great things I took away from that is, meeting all these other similar-like people who all have that same passion that I did. And coming from a small town just outside of Ottawa, population 30, moving to the big city in Toronto, it really opened my eyes to how much more there is to the golf industry and to the potential there is out there. So from that, I was able to land a job at a great club in Ottawa, at the Ottawa Hunt and Golf Club. Worked there for 3 years, and the head pro I worked for, Tim Moore, at the time, it was his first head pro job, and he hired me on, and it was quite an interesting dynamic. He hired me as a starter for my first year, and for him getting his feet wet as a new head professional was pretty interesting, because he relied on not just his crew, but me as well to really, take ownership of the job that I had. And even though I was a starter for my first year there, what I was able to take from that and having that freedom to run it how I wanted to was huge. I got promoted quickly into the pro shop my years afterwards, all at the same time continuing my education. So by the time I finished Humber, I also finished 3 years at the Ottawa Hunt. Took a year off from golf. I actually went to Australia for a year. Education was still a very big part of what I wanted to do, so I actually finished my business degree over in Sydney, Australia. And returning back home, now having my business degree, I thought it was time to make the big leap and actually then enter the GTA market. And fortunately for me, there was a position available for me at the Thornhill Golf and Country Club, so it's funny, we kind of share a little bit of the same background. And I was hired on as the assistant professional, and coincidentally, the head pro at the Ottawa Hunt, Tim Moore, was now actually the head pro at Thornhill. So we had worked together in the past. He liked my work ethic. It was very easy for us to make the transition into a new club. And that's where I spent 5 years. 5 years at Thornhill. Started off as an assistant pro, and my final 2 years I was the associate pro there.
A very good associate.
Well,
Well, that's right. You two guys ended up working together.
we Todd and I.
with me for one season, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the best associates I've ever seen in business.
Well, thanks, Todd. No, it's it really goes to show, and before I go a little bit further on in my career, what I learned at Thornhill and what I learned from Tim and his wife Stephanie, who is the merchandiser. Tim was the type of pro who the small things mattered, right? And that's what he really instilled in myself and the other assistants. It's not so much looking at the big picture. That was his job, to look at the big picture. He instilled in me, look at the small things. Attention to detail was so important to him, and so important to, just the day-to-day operation that, when Todd said, I worked out well, it was not because I was doing anything, not because I knew more than anyone else, but it's just, I think, the attention to detail and how things operated was really what helped me maybe get ahead. It was what I felt was more important, or what made me maybe stand differently from everybody else, was I wanted to make sure everything was as perfect or as run smoothly as possible. So that's kind of what I took away from Thornhill. Now, I did have that 1 year transition with Todd. Working with Todd that 1 year was fantastic, because I worked for the same pro now with Tim for 7 years. And as anyone would say, you need to evolve, you need to learn new experiences. Well, when Todd came on, learning so much more about the merchandising aspect of it. Todd's a great merchandiser, and I certainly took away a lot with that. But sadly, it was only 1 year, and then I was offered the associate position at the St. George's Golf and Country Club, where, funny story, that's where Tim is now the head pro. So he did steal me away from Todd, and I went and worked there for 2 more years. And working at that,
It was for all the right reasons.
it was for all the right
You
reasons.
fixed the merchandising.
That's right. Working at St. George's obviously is it was a huge step in my career. The level of service, the level of let's just say service. I mean, the level of attention to detail, everything there was now on the grandest scale that it could be. Ranked in the top 3 clubs in Canada. The expectations, the demand from the membership was certainly at a new level. Certainly not anything that wasn't management, because certainly I learned real quickly what it meant to be an associate pro at a great club like that. But the experience, it's one of those things when you show up to work, and it really doesn't matter what club you're at. When you show up to work and you have that smile on your face, because you love where you are, and you see the members around you, and you know that you're impacting their day, or at least their visit to the club. That is what really energized me to be there, or to at least stay in the industry. And I think that's what a lot of people, if you talk, and if they say, well, what's one thing about Tyler? Well, he loves what he does. And that really allowed me to take that next step to then becoming the head pro at the Scarborough Golf and Country Club. Mm-hmm. So my second year at St. George's, I started to branch out. I started to get my name out there amongst the other clubs, and quite funnily and quite fun. There's a position that opened up at Scarborough, and I went in, had an interview, and it's one of those things that I think they saw the passion that I had for the industry, and my track record's been pretty good up to that point, and got the job there, and we'll get into it a little bit later.
Yes.
But
Lots of stories to
a
hear.
lot of stories. I mean, my life up until there was, pretty stable, and then I'll tell you some stories about my first year as a head pro in
Yep.
Scarborough.
Great.
Yeah.
Brad, your turn.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me here today. Very excited to be part of the panel and share some discussion. I've been very fortunate along the way. I work for the Maui family, a renowned name in the golf industry, at the club that they own, which was Foxwood Golf Club in Baden, and worked there for a number of years, and had the great opportunity to apprentice under not only Danny Maui, but his father, Mr. Maui Gus, and it's a great experience at the club. I started there as a kid in the back shop, very similar stories, and just was very fortunate along the way with them. And then from there, the city of Waterloo was building a golf club called Gray Silo, which was new. It was city owned and operated for the first few years, and was fortunate enough to be hired on there to start there during its infancy. So construction of the golf course, finishing of the golf course, the clubhouse, all the infrastructure, all the way down to buying the plates and utensils. So it was just a great experience there. And really enjoyed it. And I was the director of golf there for a year. And the company that was building Gray Silo at the time was Game Malloy, and they were developing another club in the area called Rebel Creek Golf Clubs. And they approached me to go there and essentially do the same thing that I did at Gray Silo to Rebel Creek, and finish the golf course, finish the clubhouse, set up all the infrastructure, build a marketing plan, and develop the club. So. Been very blessed along the way to have a number of very unique opportunities that helped with my career along the way. And then the owners at Whistleburgh Golf Club had a great conversation with them, and ended up going to Whistleburgh after another tremendous professional that was there, Brad Matthews, local Kitchener-Waterloo guy, but another professional that was in the industry for a long time, decided to leave. And had the opportunity to go there, where I was the managing partner of the club, and was essentially brought there to rebuild the membership and develop programs and manage the entire operation. And even there, we went through a large clubhouse renovation again. So gone through many clubhouse renovations in my day, and been very fortunate to be involved in those types of processes. And then being born and raised a Kitchener-Waterloo kind of kid, growing up in the area, having the opportunity to go to Westmount, at least apply to Westmount and even be considered was a huge honor. And then to be rewarded the role and to start there, really something. I drive into Westmount every day, and I still get chills driving up Inverness. It's a very special place to not only myself but the community, and they're responsible for the entire operation. So been very blessed, been around a lot of good people and who have granted me a lot of great opportunities. So happy to share with some of those opportunities here today.
Oh, great fellows.